Spark Sport here in New Zealand's been under a bit of fire for their stream in this All Blacks and South Africa game. This is probably mostly only going to be relevant, but I suppose it's relevant for everybody, depending on your own providers. But Spark Sport has the rights to the Rugby World Cup here in New Zealand, and they stream the games online. You have to log into their website or get their app, depending on what device you're using, and you stream the game over the internet rather than it being on a traditional TV broadcast. So, there was a bit of trepidation about how this was going to go here in New Zealand with our internet speeds famously being not the best. And the initial game with the All Blacks seems to have not gone that well. They ended up having to push their feed of the All Blacks and South Africa game to television New Zealand, so they had to put it on TV basically, rather than leaving it on just the internet because of the number of people affected. Now, you guys know that I bought Spark's package back when it was like the early bird price back in May for $50. I think the price they're selling it for is like $90 now. Just that thing where it gets more expensive the closer you get. I thought I'll talk about my experience with it just briefly, and you guys can let me know how it went for you, and also let me know if you're outside of New Zealand, how your own broadcasters have been going with the Rugby World Cup. So basically, with the New Zealand-South Africa game, there was reports that the stream was buffering, or that it was like pixelated footage, and that's why they had to shift the game. They said it was only a small percentage of people affected, but because that small percentage of people was affected, they had to shift the game to free-to-air television, basically. So people who were affected are pretty frustrated that, hey, I paid money for it and now you're putting it free-to-air. I guess at least you get to see the game. I was streaming this game on Spark, and my experience was mostly okay. It did buffer a couple of times along the way, but like nothing I couldn't live with each time. It maybe happened like 4 times. It would buffer for like 10 seconds, and then the footage would kind of catch up, and it would be slightly lower quality, like standard definition, and then after like 5 seconds it would bump back up to HD. So it wasn't a game breaker. I actually had more trouble getting the Fiji Australia stream started, but that might have been my own issue because I had to restart my computer, and that seemed to do the trick, so that might have been an issue on my end. And I had the pixelating thing happen with France and Argentina. But again, it only pixelated once, and that lasted maybe 30 seconds. I had to turn off, I stopped the stream and turned it back on, and that seemed to do the trick. That's kind of the thing. People frustrated, I guess, that the service they're paying for is not kind of up to it. And Spark has identified that the issue is not a New Zealand internet issue, it's a streaming issue, because it's not limited to one internet provider. It seems to be across the board. So they claim they're going to fix it, so hopefully they do. Otherwise, if they keep having to put the games free to air, then all the people who paid, including myself, do get a wee bit frustrated. I kind of take solace in the fact that I have been keeping the VPN as a backup to connect to ITV just in case, because I still don't have that much faith in the guys at Spark to get it right. And sure enough, for like the All Blacks game, they'll put that free to air. But if the stream stuffs up for a game which is in New Zealand, not as like important, like if it's Georgia against Wales tomorrow and the stream stuffs up, I doubt they're going to put that game free to air. They'll just kind of let it go, because the backlash will be pretty limited, because there won't be the whole country watching like if it was New Zealand. So I use the VPN to go to ITV, which is free, as the backup. I've used it a little bit. I did use it at the start of the Aussie game when I couldn't get the stream going on Spark, but I've been testing it throughout the games, and thankfully it's always been there as a backup. But one thing that also, kind of a side note, does kind of suck about this Rugby World Cup is the highlights packages are pretty terrible. They're like 2 minutes long, maybe 3 minutes. So I don't know why that decision was made to keep the highlights packages horrendously short. It just seems like a bit of poor marketing decision to show such short highlights. And I checked if Spark had their own kind of highlights. Like I know on Rugby Pass, if you've ever subscribed to them, they do like kind of customized highlights packages. So if you looked at Super Rugby highlights, it's maybe like a 5-minute video, but if you looked at Rugby Passes one, they would do like a full 10-minute edit. So it was more in depth. Spark doesn't seem to be doing that. Their highlights package also seems to just be the 2-minute jobby, which is again a bit disappointing for people who don't want to watch every game but would still like to follow what's going on. ITV has kind of a other extreme. They're doing like a full highlights package. So they're collecting like kind of a match of the day thing where they put all the bits together and make like a 1 hour long show with all the highlights. So it's kind of another extreme. It's, do you want to sit down and watch an hour summary of all the things, or would you rather watch a 5-minute highlights package? 5-10 minutes I think would be ideal, but 2 minutes is too short. 1 hour, I don't know, it seems to be a wee bit long. But bit annoyed that Spark puts ads in front of their stuff as well, seeing as I'm already paying for their service. But ITV does it, but theirs is free, so I guess that's the reason they can do it. But yeah, you guys will have to let me know, how's the service been in your countries? How's Super Sport been in South Africa? How have you guys been finding ITV's coverage? Because I've been chopping and changing a wee bit, but I've mostly been using Spark, which has been mostly for me, fortunately, okay. Well, not 100%, but for the most part, alright. Spark does have the 1014, which is one thing in their favor. But yeah, let me know how the coverage is going for you guys, any issues, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.